you have to push the button in the bottom of yours.
Been there, done that.
Okay, good. Seven o'clock. Would you please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Councilman Rogers.
Let us pray. Our God, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the blessings given to each of us. Our Father, we ask you to be with each of us. Help us to have your strength to get through this time when we are all each faced with the COVID-19 pandemic. We pray tonight that you'll be with us and guide us as we go about the business of the city. We pray that you'll be with those in the armed forces abroad serving in harm's way. Also be with those serving on the Navy ships in the ports to help those in our emergency situation. Be with each armed force personnel. Be with our health care providers. Help keep them safe. And these things we pray in Christ's name and amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for April the 9th, 2020. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll that all members of council, with the exception of Councilman Bibby, are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the special council meeting held on March the 19th, 2020 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then minutes will stand approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach.
Mayor, I've not been provided a report. I just came in.
I'm sorry, Jim, I have it right here.
Thank you. I'll take this to next. Mayor, I've been brought a reconciliation funds for the city of Vienna dated April 9th, 2020, and upon a brief review, the accounts appear in order and city is sold.
Thank you very much. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move right on to new business. The first item on our agenda this evening is a resolution proclaiming April 2020 as Fair Housing Month. Whereas April marks the anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which sought to eliminate discrimination in housing opportunities and to affirmatively further housing choices for all Americans. And whereas the ongoing struggle for dignity and housing opportunity for all is not the exclusive province of the federal government. And whereas rigorous local efforts to combat discrimination can be as effective, if not more so, than federal efforts. And whereas illegal barriers to equal opportunity in housing, no matter how subtle, diminish the rights of all. Now therefore be it resolved that in pursuit of the shared goal and responsibility of providing equal housing opportunities for all men and women, the city of Vienna, West Virginia, does hereby join in the national celebration of the 52nd anniversary of the Fair Housing Act by proclaiming April 2020 as Fair Housing Month, and encourages all agencies, institutions, and individuals, public and private, in the city of Vienna, West Virginia, to abide by the letter and the spirit of the Fair Housing Law. Signed by me on this date, 2020. The second item on our agenda this evening is a resolution appointing Kelly Craft to the City of Vienna Planning Commission. We had an opening on the Planning Commission. The gentleman that we appointed several months ago due to business conflicts could not serve. And so Kelly has volunteered to serve on the Planning Commission. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Kelly Craft, qualified by knowledge and experience in matters pertaining to the development of the city, shall be appointed to a full and regular 3-year term of the City of Vienna Planning Commission. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution appointing Kelly Craft to the City of Vienna Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint Kelly Craft to the Planning Commission. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution appointing Kelly Craft to the City of Vienna Planning Commission, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, motion carries 6-0. The next item is a resolution increasing the annual salary for the Human Resource Director. This is a budgeted item. This increase, if approved, will not go into effect until July 1st, 2020. Last year, it was in the budget, but due to difficulties, it was not implemented. And so rather than have her worry about this for the next 3 or 4 months, I would like to get this over with and put this resolution out there. I'll read the resolution. It's a resolution increasing the annual salary for the position of Human Resource Director. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that the salary for the position of Human Resource Director shall be increased effective July the 1st, 2020 in the amount of $7,065 per year. That would raise that annual salary to $46,398 and would still make that position the lowest paid department head in the City of Vienna. So I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution increasing the salary for the position of Human Resource Director.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution increasing the annual salary. Is there any discussion?
I'll speak first. Of course, you know I'm going to vote against it. I know last time you brought up a lot of things that, you know, the coronavirus, things like that. A lot of things she's doing. She asked for this way before this happened. But my thing is with spending of any kind, with what's going on in the world, and not just because it's a position, I want to vote against a lot of things that involve spending money, because we don't know what the future holds, whether this is going to be next month is going to be resolved or next year. And there's no reason to spend money on anything right now with the unknown that's coming above us, coming before us, with the sales tax we're losing, with the business that are closing. There'll be more. So to be a good steward of the money, I say we halt all spending on anything until we get a better plan, or we have a better plan going forward of what's going on with this virus and stuff.
Is there any further discussion?
I can't put it much better than what Mike did, but I totally agree with him 100%. I believe as he said, everything that's going on, any spending that we do right now that doesn't have a direct effect with running the city, including pay raises that are not set out by code, absolutely should be frozen. We absolutely, in my opinion, should not be spending money on anything right now, pay raises included, that is not a direct function of operating the city. I think to do so is quite frankly irresponsible.
Is it something new we can bring on down the road, Randy, or is this a one-time deal? I mean, can we vote on this again on down the road, table it, or does it have to be now? That's my question. My thing is, she'll get it. It's going to be 5-2. That's no big deal. But the whole thing is, can we wait until we see what's going on with the future? That's my recommendation. So I don't know how to do that. But.
It does not go into effect until July the 1st when the new budget year comes out. Okay,
Right.
so there's
Right.
whatever's going on in the world right now, hopefully will be resolved by then. I don't believe that our economy and what have you will be back in the position that it was, a month ago. But I personally am not in favor of tabling or withholding this up. We did this last year. We have a very dedicated employee that works very hard and wears many hats in this city. And I personally am just not going to let this go to where she has to worry about, what's going to happen in 2 months or 3 months. I'd like to be over with this. And so, even though she doesn't receive it until July, she will know where her standing is.
I'm going to speak briefly to it as well. We didn't vote for this raise last year when everybody else got, or I believe everybody else got raises, or I know Stephanie didn't. I know that, for example, we're going to be talking about health insurance tonight. I know Stephanie's been instrumental in working on getting those numbers together. A lot of extra responsibilities, as Mike mentioned, with respect to HR as the city's going through this crisis. And as the mayor said, this doesn't go in effect until July. A part of what I think our responsibility is to try to be as normal as things are abnormal right now and to move forward to Business City. And as you all know, I support this raise for Stephanie, and I think it's overdue.
Any further discussion? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution increasing the annual salary for the position of Human Resource Director, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-2. The next item on our agenda is a bid approval for the IT department. Mr. Leach.
Yes. Sealed bids for the purchase of an MPLS phone system were opened on March 23rd, 2020 at 10:15 a.m. with the following results. Lumos Networks of West Virginia, DBA Segra, submitted a bid of $4161.18 per month. After a careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase of an MPLS phone system is for Lumos Networks of West Virginia, DBA Segra, $4161.18 a month. And I think as we noted when we spoke at the Budget and Finance Committee, this is not all new funds. This is a new system, and I believe it's a couple of $100 more per month, but it consolidates our servers and all the things that Chris has explained to us in past council meetings. And so with that, the recommendation is to approve the bid from Lumos.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the sealed bid for the purchase of an MPLS phone system from Lumos Networks of West Virginia, doing business as Segra, in the amount of $4,161.18 per month.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the sealed bid for the purchase of an MPLS phone system. Is there any discussion?
What was the difference in the monthly we have now versus this?
It's about $200 to $220 more a month, right, for the new system. But what it's going to offer is it's going to offer dedicated fiber connection to all 7 of our locations and to the 911 center, which will allow dedicated encrypted private fiber for our police to have their new CFS system direct connected to the 911 center, plus a brand new phone system, a hosted firewall for added security, and it puts us on a commercial grade internet instead of a consumer internet. So when everybody's at home right now streaming Netflix, it won't affect our internet here. It'll be lightning fast.
Are there any other cost associated with the transfer, the installation of this to replace what we now have?
Chris, excuse me, before you answer, would you please step to the microphone? I
Yes, sir.
would like to make sure everyone at home can hear your answer, please.
Okay, to go back to the previous question, so it's on, for people who didn't hear it, there's roughly a $250 a month difference. The price is gonna go up approximately $250 a month than what we're currently paying. But what that is gonna offer is offer us a dedicated fiber network to all 7 of our locations. It's also gonna offer us a dedicated fiber network to the 911 center. They already have a Lumos Segra node in there, so we'll just turn up a connection to them, which will allow an encrypted secure connection for our police department CFS system to connect to the 911 center. So there's no more VPNing that's going to be done, because right now they go outside to come back in to them. So they're going over the internet to get it. That'll be no more. It will also give us a brand new phone system, brand new Cisco IP phone system, transfer of all of our phone lines that we currently have. It will also give us a hosted firewall and 500 meg commercial grade internet. So we're not going to be on the same consumer internet that Suddenlink offers, Frontier offers, CAS offers. So right now, how everybody's at home streaming Netflix, we won't be bothered by that. To answer your second question, was there any added cost to it? There is a one-time charge of $500, and that is to transfer all of our phone lines. I think we have 22 phone numbers we have to transfer and port in. So that's a one-time charge of that, and then the rest of it is the $41.60 something a month, and that is on a it's a 10-year agreement with an optional 1-year opt-out. Every year we can choose to opt out.
And the $500 one time is total?
Total.
Not per line?
Total.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is, last year, you weren't here in your defense. What did we do last year with the phones? I thought we did something like this last year. Do you recall what, it wasn't the phone system?
No, we've had the same phone system for years,
Okay,
Mike.
so it wasn't.
We tried to get it done, but we never could get it all put together. Now that Chris is here, he's kind of taken this project on to get it completed. To be honest with you, your comments earlier about spending, if it weren't for the fact that we've worked on this thing for over 2 years, I would have not voted for this. But we've tried now for 2 years to get our security systems upgraded, the ransomware and all of the things that other cities and other state agencies, county agencies that are being hacked. This is one of the reasons why he's done the homework on this thing. And if it weren't for that, I would not be in favor of this, but because it's a 2-year project that's now finally getting ready to be implemented, I think we've invested enough time in this. So, and the additional cost from what we're paying now, approximately $2,000 more, not per month, but per year, is a pretty small increase in order to increase our service and our reliability of the network. So,
I mean, we're going to be going. The mayor is a car guy, so we're going to be going from a Honda to a Bentley, as far as our service goes. The difference that is going to show for all of the employees to be able to do their jobs and be able to do their jobs efficiently, especially with as much as we rely on technology and internet and connecting from building to building, is going to be tremendous. It's just hands down, you won't get a better option than what I put forth on this one. And this is also, we're getting this deal as good as we're getting it because Lumos is also working with Wood County Commission and with Parkersburg as well. I don't know what they are in their communications with all of that, but I do know that this is most likely going to end up a full county project.
This is a phone system that you would anticipate would take us how far into the future without having to do further changes?
Well, the fact that we don't own any of the equipment, so anytime anything new comes out, Segra is obligated to put into newer stuff, infinite time.
Okay.
I mean, as long as we have the contract with them, I think that we'll be good with that.
any further questions? Then I'll call for the question, please. All those in favor of accepting the sealed bid for the purchase of an MPLS phone system from Lumos Networks of West Virginia doing business as Segra, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda this evening is item number 5. It is an internal budget revision number 3. Councilman Leach.
Internal budget revision number 3 has 3 line items on it. The first is for data processing. This is an internal budget to transfer funds for cybersecurity conference that I think Chris is scheduled in June. And it's an internal line item transfer from travel to training and education. The second line item is for the fire department, again, internal budget revision, transferring from maintenance and repair. I'm sorry, that budget change was, before budget was $2,600. The expenditure amount's $1,165, and the budget after change is $1,435. Second, fire department, transfer from maintenance and repair to capital outlay. This is to transfer funds to pay for bunker gear that the chief is securing for the department. The budget before change $35,000, expenditure amount $25,000, and budget after change is $10,000. The third is for the Parks Department, 3 line items, maintenance and repair of equipment, autos, buildings, and grounds. And these are internal transfers to cover budget shortfalls for the maintenance and repair.
Chief Shull, would you like to explain what it is that you would like to show us this evening?
Yep. First of all, I'd like to say the $25,000 that we're wanting to transfer came out of when we were going to bid out the concrete for the front ramp. That project was done away with because all the bids came in well over what the allotted amount was for that project. So I'd like to take that $25,000 off the concrete job and put it on the turnout gear. As you all know, we have an ongoing replacement program for our turnout gear that is only good for 10 years. I've got some gear that's coming due to be replaced, and we have looked into totally replacing the type of gear we use for the material. This coat here, as you can see, has done its job. This is the old style of. It is one of the older types of material that is used now. As burned as this coat is, it still protected the firefighter that was wearing it. All they got was like a sunburn, a first-degree burn on it. But they have new materials out now that is, several times better than this. The Nomex, like I say, at the same time. So, is there any questions for that?
Yes, Steve, if you would. Could you walk over this way, the camera that the folks at home? Yes.
So like I said, the firefighter just got nothing but basically a first-degree sunburn out of this. And he didn't. I was just wanting to do that project as a preventive maintenance type thing before the concrete really did start to deteriorate. It's already cracked and busting, pieces coming out, but we will be able to still drive on top of it for till we get this money allotted for it next time. But the money right now is going to be better off used for turnout gear compared to the concrete that's still usable.
Okay. All right. Steve, would you straighten that piece of paper back up, please? Thank you, sir. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of budget revision number 3.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve internal budget revision number 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of internal budget revision number 3, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item number 6 is a general fund budget revision number 5. Councilman Leach.
Budget revision number 5.
Yes.
This, if you'll recall, when Adam was still here, we had some leaks in the server room, and it resulted in an insurance claim, and those repairs were completed, but there was a shortfall, and this budget revision is to adjust an amount of $625 to apply to cover the completion of those repairs. So we've applied the insurance money of, and then, like I said, and then to cover the above revision on the deductible of $625.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of general fund budget revision number 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve general fund budget revision number 5. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of general fund budget revision number 5, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to our last item on our agenda this evening, and that is the health insurance. During the regular budget talks, we were still waiting to get some numbers finalized from Highmark, and so we have met with the Schwendeman Group multiple times and with Highmark to get clarification on some of the terms that are in here. As you all remember, there were several options presented by Mark Schwendeman when he came and made his presentation. Option 1 was the plan that he recommended, and that option 1 is raising the deductible from $4,000 to $5,000. Under the plan that seems to work best, the current plan that we have is the employee pays the first $250 with the city picking up the middle $2,750, and then the employee picking up the $1,000 on the back end. That was the $4,000 deductible that we're having on our current plan now. With the renewal, the employee would pay the first $400. The city, through the HRA, the health reimbursement account, would pick up $3,250, and the employee would pay the remainder of the $1,350. It would increase the employee share $150 on the front. The city would increase by $500 on the HRA in the middle, and then the employee would pick up the remainder of the $350, making the total renewal $1,350 for the employee on the back. Assuming that, we asked Mark to run the numbers for us of all the employees that the city has, and based on the historical data, 37 employees use the full health reimbursement account. With the new plan that is being presented, it would increase the city's share by $18,500. This is only a projected usage because as the insurance plan evolves during the year, based on the number of employees that we have, based on the number of families or single plans that are in the plan, that number will fluctuate, but historically, these numbers apply to that. Under the new plan, which is option 1, we would change the HRA administration to Highmark. There is no fee if Highmark does the administration. That would save the city $4,914 annually. There is a run out on that because West Banco takes care of that now, and if Highmark assumes that, there would be a 2 to 3 month carryover where we would have to pay West Banco to continue that until the run out was done. The savings to that would be approximately $4,914 to the city, and as we go through this, we're working on the increase of $18,500. So from the $18,500, you would deduct the savings of $4,914. The next thing in the new plan would be to change the dental plan from Highmark to Delta Dental. That would give a savings annually of $4,180. The flexible spending account administrator, if we change that to Highmark, that would save an additional $4,020. And so if you subtract the HRA administration, the dental plan savings, and the FSA administration, the increase that the city under option 1 would see for the following year would be $5,386. This increase would be spread out over 4 funds, not the general fund absorbing all of that. It would be divided by the 4 funds. So the one thing, when this was presented to us, option 1 was a 2.2% increase over the policy that we have in effect now. But in that same number sequence, there is a Affordable Care Act mandatory increase of 2.9% that is factored in that. That 2.9 ACA mandatory increase will go away this year. This is the last year for it. So if that mandatory increase were not in our plan, we would actually show a decrease over last year's premium by almost 1%. That is my explanation that was presented to us as a recommendation from the Schwindeman Group. I think that provides a good level of coverage for our employees and is basically exactly the same cost that we have paid for this past year. So, Mr. Leach, any comments from you from the...
I think the one thing that the city and city employees need to continue to focus on are some of the things that Stephanie been working on these wellness programs. And, because all of this is a risk-based calculation, of course, the employees are taking some burden on this year with the increased deductibles, as is the city. Unfortunately, with Blue Cross, we were able to adjust and kind of hold the line a little bit. But I just encourage, I think the most important thing we can do, especially for our employees that are covered by the health insurance program, is continue to participate in these virtual opportunities, the ability to shop for the services that you need and use, of diagnostic testing, MRI, imaging, anything like that. Everything that our city can do to help keep the cost down of our health insurance will benefit our employees in our city into the long run. And I know that's happening, and more opportunities will present themselves. And I think with the fiber system that Chris is putting on, the employees will have even better access to that information. So that's the encouragement I have, because just even within our company, we just experienced a significant increase. And it's difficult to control these costs, but I think that the Schwinneman Agency and Highmark has gone a long way, because if you remember the numbers, we are not in the percentage range that Highmark wants us to be in as far as being a good risk. And so I just encourage our employees to continue to participate in these programs and do everything they can to be well and to help control our health insurance costs.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for the approval of option 1 as our choice for this year's insurance removal.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve option 1 for the insurance renewal. Further discussion, please.
I'd like to propose an amendment to that, if I could, please. The city's participation in the amount that is paid toward the health insurance for the employees is very, very generous. I'm fine with the increase of the $1,000 in deductible, changing it from $4,000 to $5,000. That's a way to start getting some savings, but we're increasing it by $1,000, but the city's paying half of that. And again, I'll reiterate that what the city is doing for the employees with the health insurance now is very, very generous. My proposal would be that we actually do raise it from the $4,000 to the $5,000. The front end for the employee would be $750. The participation in this particular HRA for the city would remain at $2,750, and that the back end for the employees would be $1,500. I think we're very generous. I keep repeating that because we are, and at some point in time we need to start looking at a way to reduce some of the exposure that the city has on this insurance, and this is a way to start the process without it being extremely painful. So my amendment would be $750 on the front end for the employee, the city remains at $2,750, and $1,500 on the back end for the employee.
Excuse me. We have an amendment on the floor, Mike. I'm waiting on a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to amend the amendment, we have an amendment on the floor to amend the motion to approve option 1. The amendment is to change the employee contribution from from $250 to $750. The city contribute $2,750, and the employee pick up the remainder of that as $1,500 on the back end.
Correct.
I said that correctly, all
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, you did.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Now, Mike, if you have a comment?
No, it's just, I guess, a comment after this, because my problem is.
Okay, if it's not about the amendment, we'll just
Okay,
please
we'll
save it, okay?
We'll vote, and I'll do that, yeah.
All right.
My comment about the amendment, I mean, the city administration, the city employees are a team, and we've got no raises this year with the exception of one employee and the longevity raise. With the longevity raise, this cuts into that for the employees and kind of trying to hold. I think that and I wasn't prepared to discuss it or, run these numbers, but I think this would end up with Councilman Conley's amendment as being a pay cut for our employees. I'm not going to get all into the whole total compensation plan, but health insurance is just one piece of the way that we compensate our employees. There's give and take on this, on the fact that they are not, on government pension, et cetera, and all the things we've talked about before. So for those reasons, I would oppose the amendment.
I guess I'd like to clear up the numbers that you don't have in front of you, Jim. The city of Vienna receives or the employees receive a 35 cent per hour longevity raise per year. That works out to about $740. If Mr. Conley's amendment is approved, that would require the employee to pay $1,500 additional dollars, which would mean that of that $740 pay raise, they would actually be losing $760. I also will not support Mr. Conley's amendment simply because that would be taking money away from our employees, and in these times, I do not believe that our employees should have if we stayed even, that's one thing, but I am not going to vote to take money away from our employees. Any further comments? All right, then the amendment on the floor is to change the renewal from $250 to $750, $2,750 as the HRA, and $1,500 as the employee contribution once they've met the deductible. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed to the amendment, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion fails 2-4. So we go back now to the original discussion about option one. Mike, you have a comment?
Yeah, my comment is, and Roger threw out some numbers there, and I can't do quick math like that. Yeah, I don't want to. I got these numbers at 11:30 this morning from Stephanie, and to come in here and vote on this without having time to look at and run numbers and stuff, I would like to table this because I don't feel educated enough to vote on this. I won't vote for this because I don't know. You even said, Mr. Leach, respectfully, we just got these numbers and I didn't know we were going to be voting on this tonight. So I would like to make a motion to table this so we can have more time to look at numbers and run numbers and stuff, because it's just not fair to me to vote on something that I don't feel comfortable with, obviously.
We are working on an April 30th deadline, and the reason it was up tonight was because we have to make this decisions in order to get the plan approved for the next year. And based on the coronavirus, we probably will not have another council meeting the rest of the month, with the exception of laying the levy. So that's the reason why it's on here this evening. But you made a motion to table this until a later date. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, all right, it's been moved and seconded that this be tabled until a later date. Is there any discussion?
Just one, like I said, this mic's about dead. I think it is dead. To Councilman Elam's point, we had these numbers in Mr. Schwinnemann's presentation, and this is consistent with the option one that he presented at that time. We had the other options, and we've had the opportunity to look at that. This was kind of the tweaking and finalization of that proposal. So I think we understand and have the information. What I wasn't prepared to respond to was, and same thing with quick math, right? The as far as the just what the net change would be to our employees if we adopted that amendment. So I think that we have had the information that we do need to reach this decision, and I would oppose the motion to table it.
But with that, I mean, I know last city council meeting, when Schwinnemann made his presentation, I had asked about, and got the comment. I asked if we could have more than one option for our city employees, and that was going to be discussed. But there's nothing on here about having option one. I mean, my employer, I can do the high deductible, this and that, but there's two options. So that was my question, and obviously that wasn't looked at for having the two options. I know you said the city's never done that before, but, you know, that doesn't mean we can't do it now. So that's what I was kind of waiting to see, if we were going to go the option one, option two. I know option one was recommended, but to reiterate, my question was, can we have more than one option for our city employees?
And we did have that discussion with the Swindleman Group. And based on the analysis of our policy and the history of the usage, it would not be a viable option for the city. It would have actually been worse. So we did not present anything that would have been not as good. So that's the reason why it's not there, Mike.
No, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yes, these are the best. You ask us to go out and find the best options for the city, and that's what is here. And you have to realize too that, you know, Mark Schwendeman represents over 300 companies. He's an expert in this, and so when we ask for his opinion, I put a lot of stock in Mark's experience. So that's the reason why that this particular option one is being presented, because we've asked the employees to take on a significantly larger share of the deductibles, just in order to maintain the coverages that we have. And so by tweaking the way it's administered and the dental and the flexible spending accounts, we've got it back down now to where there's basically no increase, but yet the employees are still picking up, the additional coverages on that. And I think that we've hashed the numbers a lot. So, but anyway, any other comments?
Yeah, to Mike's point, the increase of the deductible is $1,000, correct?
Yes.
And you just mentioned $1,500 increase to the employee. I don't understand the math.
Well, you have to look at it the way it's split up. All right?
But it's $1,000 increase.
Well, it is, but you're changing the way it's spread out. Okay, the employee now would pay $250 up front
Okay.
for a $1,250 total deductible. You wanted to change that and make it so that, and I apologize, Roger, you're absolutely right, okay? You would have made it so that the employee would pick up the entire $1,000 deductible on that end. I added the back end twice. So, yes, the employee would take 100% of the increase in the deductible. I'm sorry, you're correct.
And that just goes to Mike's point. I think we need more time to review the numbers.
Oh, the numbers are right there in front of you.
And, but we just had a discrepancy right here that we wasn't on the same page about.
But this is the
speaking of-
actual, this is the
Oh,
actual.
Roger's got the floor. I mean, you're talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Speaking of options,
It's-
did we have any, I mean, we got Highmark here. Did we have any other quotes given to us? I mean,
Well,
do we have
obviously.
any other numbers?
Well, yes, Roger, we went through all of this when Mark made his presentation, but I have the information right here in front of me. Bids were solicited from Highmark, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Benecon Veris, Cigna, the Health Plan, and United Healthcare. That's 6 of the major players, okay? And so, we did, I shouldn't say we, the Schwendeman Group did the due diligence to try to go out in the marketplace and find us, something that would work better. And I'm sorry, Kathy.
No, I was just gonna say, and excuse me,
You don't have to excuse yourself to me, Kathy. I'm
well,
just.
Mike, let her.
I would just like to say that this is what Schwendeman has worked on from the beginning. It's been months that he's been working on this, and he has gone around to all of those agencies and has worked on these numbers, and he has presented this as his recommendation for the city to take on. Now, that's his expertise. If you don't trust what this man does, I mean, that's pretty sad. I mean, it's not like he's just started doing this. He has crunched these numbers. He has a whole set of employees that have been working on this nonstop to come up with these figures for us. That is in the best interest of the city as far as the increase, as well as the employees.
But the whole thing is this whole thing, because I know the city insurance is a big hot topic with the residents of Vienna. It's still, no matter what, there's still, the city is going to pay more for the city's insurance. Yeah, it's only $5,386 from what these numbers I just got today look at. But why couldn't we figure it out to where there'd be a zero increase for the city? I mean, why can't we do $100? I mean, change these numbers around so that it's flat from what we paid last year for the city. Why does there have to be a $5,000, you know, some a $5,386 increase that city's picking up. Why can't we flatline for what we had last year and change these numbers? But once again, this gets back to, I can't figure out numbers. You know, I have a full-time job. I can't get an email at 11:30 and run through these numbers and come up with something that flatlines everything. We said we're paying the same as did last year, but we're still passing more money, the cost of the insurance to the citizens of Vienna for the 81 people. So that's why I wanted to table it, and that's another reason to table this until we have more time. And you can't tell me we can't have another city council meeting to discuss this before April 30th. I mean, we're having one now, and what's the difference between now and 2 weeks from now?
Any other comments? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of option one with the renewal at $400 for the initial on the employees, $3,250 on the city, and $1,350 on the back for the employees. With all the other adjustments to the policy, the city increase would be $5,386. And as I said initially, these are approximations depending on how our employee structure and the family dynamics change, but this is a good working number for the year. So all those in favor of accepting option one for our insurance renewal, please signify by raising your right hand.
Isn't there a motion
Yeah,
to
we've made a
table
motion
this?
to table this. That's my thing.
We voted the
It
motion
needs
down,
to
didn't
be
we?
voted on first,
No, we never voted on anything yet.
or was it a second?
Yeah, Roger
The
Comey
motion,
seconded
He
it.
seconded
So
it,
we
yeah.
need to
First,
vote
we
on the
need to vote
table.
on the table.
Thank you,
And then
Bruce.
vote on the,
All right,
Yes.
so let me back up then. I apologize. So we have a motion on the floor to table this discussion for a future date. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor of tabling this to a future date, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion fails 2-4. The original motion on the floor was for the approval of option one for the renewal of our health insurance for the upcoming year, starting July the 1st. Is there any further discussion on the motion as made?
It's obviously not going to be from this group that's up here presently. But at some point in time, someone's going to have to fix this. We, as a city, cannot sustain what we're doing. It would be a whole lot smarter to start fixing this a little bit at a time, other than to kick the can down the road for some future administration to have to fix this and do one huge lump change. It's going to get fixed. I promise you, write it down. Somewhere down the line, this is going to have to get fixed. We either are going to be part of the fixing of the solution or continue to be the problem. And the way it is now, we're all continuing to be the problem. We need to look down the line. We need to look into the future. We need to start fixing these things. It's going to get fixed, whether it's us or somebody else. I just think we should be a part of the fix, not part of the problem.
I'm going to respond to that. With respect to your opinion that this is broken and it needs fixed, the way that we're administering our budget, our city employees, our benefits, that's simply your opinion, Councilman Conlon. And with respect to the decisions that are being made, being balanced to the best interest of our citizens and these employees that are out here, for example, in the middle of this virus right now, I go by them every morning. They're at work, they're keeping the water on, they're keeping the toilets flushing, they're keeping the city running, and so I certainly take issue when you say that this is going to be fixed as if it's your opinion that it's broke, but I don't believe that's shared by the majority of the citizens of Vienna, so that's my response to that.
I would have expected none less.
Any other comments? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the approval of option one for our renewal for our health insurance, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? The option 1 plan is approved. That concludes our agenda this evening. I do have a couple announcements that I would like to make. The next council meeting that we will have will be on April the 21st. That will be at 8:15 in the morning. It is where we lay the levy. It will be a very quick meeting. It's the same thing that we've done every year forever. But anyway, by law, we have to lay the levy. And so that will be April the 21st at 8:15. The other announcement that I would like to make is that we have a public hearing scheduled for April the 30th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That will be a hearing on the CDBG program for this year. Our initial amount was $107,000. We were given an additional $63,000. So we have $170,000 that we have to decide a budget for. The additional $63,000 has some very strict stipulations for it, so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. But we do have $170,000 this year in the CDBG budget, and that hearing will be at 4 o'clock. And we will publish a phone number so that any of the public that wishes to call in and make comments or suggestions on how to do that, that we will be able to do that over the phone. All right? So, we're still going to be under the assumption that social distancing will still be in effect. And so we will do it as a live meeting, and we will have a live call-in number where you can call in with any suggestions or comments that you would like to make. All right? So that's the two announcements that I have to make. And now I'll go back to the council comment section of our agenda. Yes, sir, Bruce?
Since I've been basically confined to home and not able to leave, I have seen a lot of activity on the Manville property called Spencer's Landing. And there are several vehicles from the state down there, and they are drilling on the property down there. I've been asked a lot of questions about that. I talked to the mayor prior to this meeting, and it seems like it has nothing to do with the contamination from Manville, and it has to do with the contamination that was done by the dry cleaning that has been going on for quite some time. So anyway, I just want to make sure anyone out there listening that has asked me questions, it's not anything to do with contamination from Manville Corporation itself. That's all.
Okay. Any other comments this evening?
There's a gentleman asked me a question, and this takes us way back. And he sent to me, asked, who received the money from the Johns and Manville property, the $901,000? Did that go to, where did that go? That went to TV?
Structures Resources, but Rob Tebe was the attorney for the closing. That's typically, I wish Russ were here because he was very good about that. But anyway, typically it goes to an attorney who's your agent, and then he disperses the money. Structures Resources was the actual owner of that property,
Okay.
and all those funds were distributed by Rob Tebe to the various creditors and other parties in that.
Okay. And another thing, I know we've talked about this, and we tried to get it's the city ordinance about the bids in the paper. Because I know there was a local gentleman who works for another company that would have been interested in bidding on the project that we just approved tonight. And he was just concerned that because they don't get the paper, but we've already talked about how that's how we do it, right? That's required by law, which we do. But he was asking if there's anything else we could do to get it out to because he looked at the price and he's like, I know we could have beat that price, but that's something that how we do that.
Can I speak on this?
You may
yes,
not.
sir. Oh. All right. So
Okay.
that's my thing. It wasn't about that in particular, but it goes back to, I think, Roger Conley. We made a motion to try to do something.
I had a conversation with the gentleman you're referring to,
Okay,
and I informed him we did do everything that we're required to do.
right.
Okay, but I also informed him that we would add his name to the bidders list, so that if we have any additional projects, that he will be notified. All right. you know, it's one of those things, Mike, where, you know, we put a legal ad in the paper. And, you know, if you're in business and you would like to, you bid on these things, we want you to bid. Obviously, it's at our advantage to have more bidders. I wish Chief Scholl were here, because on the concrete project that he had over there in front of the fire station, I'm not sure, but I believe 7 different companies bid on that job, which was good, because even though all 7 of them were over the allotted budgeted amount, you still knew that the price you were getting was probably what it's going to cost to get that done. Okay? And so, you know, we try to get as many people as we can to bid on these things, because it's to our advantage. The more competition there is, the better the price. So, but I have spoken with him, and he understands now that he will be on the bidders list. And so if we have any other project, if Chris has any other things that we can put out for that kind of business, then we'll notify him, because we want him to bid.
Yeah, but is there anything we can do on social media with do we put it on our website, or is that's, I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas. How else besides the newspaper could we change it, or we're just gonna keep like it is?
You can obviously do that, okay? But there's a lot of people don't do Facebook and don't do, you know, the websites and what have you, but there are a lot to do, okay? I know Mr. Leach is very successful with the internet and what have you, so yes, that could be done, all right?
I would agree with that as well.
Mm.
I've expressed, I'd like to see more people getting the opportunity to bid
Right.
on city projects as well. So, yeah, that's, putting it on the website and on Facebook. Like I say, I don't know, you'd have to talk to us. I mean, I don't assume there would be any
Yeah.
legal problem with doing that, as long as we follow the required publications.
Yes, and when we meet the stipulations of the law, I think you can do anything else you want, okay? So, all right, I did address his concerns. All right, anything else? Hearing that concludes our agenda for this evening. Don't forget about the laying the levy, please. We have to have a quorum for that, all right? With that, meeting adjourned.